They say Nova Scotia is one of the most beautiful places in Canada. But behind the lighthouses, beneath the cobblestone streets, and deep in the forest, shadows, something darker waits. Ghosts, tragedy, unexplained horrors. In this video, we're counting down the top 10 most haunted places in Nova Scotia. And trust me, you won't sleep the same after this. One, Fortress of Louisbourg. You step through the towering gates of the Fortress of Louisbourg, and the air shifts heavy, thick with something unseen. The stones beneath your feet echo with the whispers of a long-dead garrison. It's an 18th century French stronghold, now silent, but once alive with the clash of sabers and the cries of the fallen. They say the soldiers never left. One summer night, a camper swore he heard boots crunching gravel just outside his tent. When he peeked out, nothing, just fog rolling in from the sea, but the footsteps circled again and again, until suddenly they stopped, right outside the flat. Paranormal investigators have recorded cold spots along the barracks, captured EVP's whispers in French, saying, "Je suis ici," I am here. Some have seen full apparitions, men in tattered uniforms wandering the ramparts, vanishing into stone walls. One woman fainted after locking eyes with a pale-faced soldier in the powder magazine, only to find no one there when she came to. But the most chilling, the ghostly townswoman, seen weeping beside the well. Her sobs echo at dusk, and those who follow the sound report feeling pulled, like something wants them to stay forever. And if you dare, you can book a night inside. Equipped camping, they call it. But don't be surprised if someone or something tries to unzip your tent from the outside. The question is, will you open it? Ting. Halifax Citadel. You climb the stone steps of the Halifax Citadel, and before you even reach the top, you smell it roses. But there are no flowers, just wind, old walls, and something watching. They call her the Grey Lady. She appears in a 19th century dress, gliding silently through shadowed corridors, her face pale with sorrow. Some say she lost her lover to war, and now she searches endlessly for him, her mourning never complete. One evening, a tour guide was locking up after dark when he saw her standing by the guard post, unmoving. He called out, thinking she was a straggler. She turned slowly, but had no eyes, only black hollows. Then she vanished. Visitors report cold drafts where no windows exist, the scent of roses following them through tunnels. Cameras malfunction, phones die. One guest, while on the lantern-lit ghost tour, collapsed after feeling a hand grip her shoulder, though no one was near her. Staff have grown used to her. They say if you hear soft footsteps behind you, don't turn around. She hates being seen, and if she does appear, pray you don't remind her of the man she lost. Because some nights, when the fog settles and the wind carries her sobs across the battlements, she chooses someone to stay. Will it be you? Breaks. Lunenburg Academy. You stand before the Lunenburg Academy, its towering silhouette perched on Gallows Hill. Yes, that Gallows Hill, where the earth once drank the blood of the condemned. The school's pristine white exterior hides a truth locals whisper about, but rarely confront. Inside, the air hangs heavy with chalk dust and something far colder, They say the ghost of a janitor still roams the halls, pushing a mop that no one sees but everyone hears. One night, a maintenance worker stayed late. He heard the unmistakable squeak of a mop bucket rolling across the floor above. When he climbed the stairs, silence. No one there, but on the floor, fresh, wet mop streaks. Students from years past speak of flickering lights in locked classrooms, whispers echoing down empty corridors, and a shadowy figure watching from the third-floor window, always the same window, always when no one is inside. On ghost tours, guides often pause outside that very window. Flashlights dim. Some guests get nauseous, and just a few say they heard breathing behind them. Slow, ragged, wet. They say the janitor died suddenly in the basement. Heart attack, alone, still working. And now, he never stopped. So if you're brave enough to visit Lunenburg at night, pause at the gate, look up, and if you see someone watching you from the third floor, don't wave. He doesn't like being disturbed. 4. Peggy's Cove. You arrive at Peggy's Cove just as the sun slips below the horizon, casting the iconic lighthouse in silhouette against a blood-orange sky. The sea crashes violently below, but it's not the waves that raise goosebumps on your skin. It's the feeling that someone is watching. They say her name was Margaret, or just Peggy, the namesake of this hauntingly beautiful place. After losing her husband to the sea, she wandered these jagged cliffs in grief. One stormy night, she vanished. Some say she threw herself into the churning waves. Others believe she never really left. Locals and visitors alike have seen her ghost, a woman in a blue dress, standing near the edge of the rocks. She never moves. She just stares out toward the horizon, as if waiting for someone or something to return. One man captured a photo of her silhouette at dawn, but when he returned to the same spot minutes later, she was gone. Another visitor followed the sound of soft crying along the shore, only to find footprints leading to the water and stopping. Tour guides warn never to get too close to the water after dark, not just because of the danger, but because some believe Peggy lures people, especially those grieving, to join her in the depths below. So when you walk those cliffs at twilight and the wind carries the faint sound of a woman's voice calling from the rocks, don't answer, because once you do, she might finally stop waiting and start pulling. Five. St. Francis Xavier University. At first glance, St. Francis Xavier University feels like any other quiet campus. Books, lectures, laughter echoing through the halls. But once the sun goes down and Gilmora Hall falls silent, something else takes over. You're walking the dorm hallway late at night. Your door creaks shut behind you. Then click, the lights go out. Total darkness. A chill sweeps past your neck, like someone just brushed by. You call out. No answer. This dorm was once a convent, and legend says a nun died here under tragic, unexplained circumstances. Since then, she's been restless. Students report lights flickering at 3 hours faucets turning on by themselves, and textbooks thrown violently across rooms. One girl claimed her laptop began typing on its own Latin phrases she couldn't translate. Another woke to find all her drawers open and her crucifix upside down. Security cameras have picked up doors slamming shut with no one nearby. Staff dismiss it as bad wiring or drafts, but the screams recorded on one guard's phone say otherwise. And then there's the phone. An old rotary phone mounted in the hallway, disconnected for decades. Yet, some nights, it rings. Slowly, deliberately. Students who've answered say nothing comes through, only breathing. And if the nun is near, you'll know. The smell of burning wax fills the room. The air thickens. And then, a whisper, soft, trembling. Confess. So if you ever stay in Gilmora Hall, leave the lights on. She only comes in darkness. Sechs. Uniaki Estate. You step onto the grounds of the Uniaki Estate, where the forest presses in close, and the old manor looms ahead, elegant, silent, watching. Built in the early 1800s by Richard John Uniaki, it was meant to be a peaceful summer retreat. But peace has long since fled these walls. They say the estate is haunted by two women, Uniaki's wife and their eldest daughter. Both died young. Both never left. Walk the gravel path toward the lake at dusk, and you might see her, the daughter, drifting between the trees, her white dress barely brushing the forest floor. A park ranger once followed what he thought was a lost hiker, only to find footprints that stopped mid-trail, vanishing into the earth. Inside the house, things grow colder. Visitors report the overwhelming scent of lilacs, Uniaki's wife's favorite flower, filling the air before a mirror cracks or a door slams. One guide refused to return after witnessing a rocking chair move on its own, slowly creaking back and forth, with no breeze, no reason. They say the wife still stands by the upstairs window, watching for her husband's return. But it's the daughter who unsettles the most. She's been heard crying in the nursery, asking for her mother. One guest claimed he felt a small hand wrap around his finger, gentle at first, then tightening, desperate not to be left behind. The museum may close for winter, but the spirits remain year-round. And if you walk the lake path alone, don't answer if someone calls your name, because no one living should know it. 7. Alexander Keith's Brewery. You enter Alexander Keith's Brewery, expecting the scent of hops and the hum of history. But beneath the charm and cheer lies something much older, something unsettled. This brewery, one of the oldest in North America, still echoes with the footsteps of Alexander Keith himself. Staff whisper about the shadowy figure seen near the original brewing vats, a man in 19th century clothing who vanishes the moment you approach. During a private tour, a visitor stopped in his tracks. He'd felt a hand brush his shoulder and turned to thank the guide, only to find he was completely alone. That night, his phone recorded an audio clip. When he played it back, a gravelly voice muttered, "Still brewing. Barrels have been found mysteriously moved overnight. Lights flicker in the tunnels." One worker quit after hearing heavy boots stomp behind him, only to turn around and find no one, and then watch his flashlight roll on its own across the floor. Visitors have captured strange orbs in photos, and one child claimed an old man in the corner smiled and waved, though no one else saw him. The eeriest part: that exact corner once held Alexander Keith's personal tasting table. Staff don't talk much about the hauntings, but they've given the spirit a name: the Brewmaster. So next time you raise a glass and toast, be careful where you look, because if your beer ripples, he might be standing beside you. 8. York Redoubt. High above Halifax Harbor, the wind howls through the crumbling battlements of York Redoubt. It was built for war, but never saw battle. And yet, something violent clings to this place. Something scarred. Paranormal investigators from the Lightworkers Paranormal once explored the site at night. While scanning the lower tunnels, their recorder picked up a chilling voice that wasn't theirs. It whispered, "Fire's coming. Get out." The team froze. Moments later, the EMF meter spiked wildly, then cut to silence. The air dropped 10 degrees. One investigator reported the sensation of a hand grabbing her ankle, though no one was near her. Locals believe the spirits here aren't soldiers, but victims of the Halifax explosion. When the blast tore through the city in 1917, some of its echoes and its souls may have reached this isolated outpost. Visitors report flashes of light in the bunkers, the smell of burning cloth, and disembodied screams that rise from the cliffs after dark. One man hiking the grounds at twilight saw a figure standing at the edge of the fort wall, motionless. When he called out, it stepped forward and vanished straight into the wind. York Redoubt was built for protection. Now it's a prison for the dead. So if you feel the sudden urge to run while you're there, it's not just your fear, it's a warning. Get out. Nine. St. Paul's Anglican Church, Halifax. In the heart of downtown Halifax stands St. Paul's Anglican Church, majestic, timeless, and haunted by an image burned into glass. The year was 1917. The Halifax explosion tore through the city with unimaginable force. As windows shattered and buildings collapsed, the blast hit St. Paul's. But in one second-floor window, something strange happened. Instead of shattering, the glass captured a face. To this day, the profile of a man believed to be a deacon standing at that window during the explosion remains etched in the pane, his features frozen in a moment of terror. Scientists call it a trick of heat and pressure. Locals know better. That face, it watches. Churchgoers have reported chills while sitting beneath it, a sudden stillness that silences even prayer. One custodian swore he saw the shadow of a man pacing the balcony alone. When he looked up, the face in the glass seemed different, mouth open, eyes wider. Some believe the deacon's spirit was seared into that moment, never crossing over, a permanent witness to a city's greatest tragedy. Guides on Halifax ghost walks pause here each night, pointing upward. Cameras often fail to capture the face clearly, but those who see it with their own eyes say the same thing. It doesn't just look back. It feels like it sees you. So if you pass St. Paul's after sundown, look to the window, but don't stare too long. He's been watching for over a century, and he's still waiting for someone to recognize him. Ten. Coset House Museum. Tucked away in Sydney, Cape Breton, stands the Coset House Museum, a quaint 18th century home with white shutters and a peaceful garden. But don't be fooled by its charm. Behind its doors, time has warped, and something is trapped inside. Built in 1787, this is one of the oldest surviving homes in the region, once belonging to Reverend Rana Coset. But today, it's known less for sermons and more for screams. Visitors report hearing footsteps upstairs, heavy, deliberate when no one else is in the house. One staff member swore she locked up for the night, only to return and find the chairs in the parlor rearranged in a circle, as if an unseen meeting had taken place. And then there are the voices. Whispers float through the rooms when the house is empty. Tourists have described being lured toward the stairwell by the sound of a child laughing, only to be met with an icy draft and a door slamming shut behind them. The most chilling account came from a young visitor who wandered into a bedroom alone. Moments later, she ran out screaming, saying a woman in old-fashioned clothes had told her to leave, but there were no actors on site that day. Paranormal teams have recorded sudden drops in temperature and unexplained EMF spikes. One EVP captured a single, hoarse word in the nursery stay. So if you visit Coset House, listen closely. The walls remember. And some say the Reverend's family does too. They've been waiting centuries for company. And once you enter, they don't like it when you leave. So, which of these haunted places would you dare to visit? Or better yet, spend the night in Nova Scotia may be stunning by day, but by night, it whispers with the voices of the past. If you've had a ghostly encounter here, tell us in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the next haunted tale might be closer than you think.